Hey everybody, welcome back to Journey Through the Generations. I am Phillip.
Hey guys, I'm Trisha.
And we're back with another recap episode of Relative Race. This is episode number 2.
Yes, which means they are in day 2.
I really love this episode.
It was really good.
It was really, really good.
And I said this the last time, although we have picked a team, we are rooting for Team Red. I'm really enjoying all of the teams.
Yeah, there's not a team that I'm not rooting for.
Correct.
I mean, I always root for all of them because the important thing about it is that they're meeting their family.
Right. It's all about family.
But there's still a competition piece to this. And so
we want our team to win.
Yeah, we chose that team and that's who we want to win. And so, but I like all the teams.
Yes.
I really like all their stories.
Mm-hmm. I like their relationships with each other. I like the time that they show them spinning in the car together. I just really am enjoying all of the teams.
Yeah, I would like to see a little bit more, fun. And there's nothing wrong with what they're doing. So let's clear that up before everybody gets all in their feelings and thinking that we talking about them. But, I know this is all emotional and, everybody's kind of nervous and doing their thing. I just kind of would like to see more fun,
I think that'll come because, again, this is their second day in the race. And I think the first day they were all nervous. They didn't really know about the process, about driving, where they were going. So I think they got that out of their system. And I think we'll see more of their personalities and them having more fun as the season progresses.
Yeah,
that's usually how it happens with past seasons.
Yeah, I hope so. Because I really think that Ray and I don't remember his wife's name from last year. The red team.
Oh, Team Red.
Last year?
Yeah.
And then Paul and Anitra.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like they were having fun.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of hoping to see that, and I would like to see more of that. But maybe you're right. Maybe it'll come as they get more comfortable.
Yeah, and I think we saw a little bit of that with this challenge that we'll talk about a little bit later, because on day 1, their challenge involved the GPS and finding their backpack. So they were on a mission, really couldn't see their personality. They wanted to get it done. But this time around, their challenge was a little different. So,
yeah. So, all right, let's start recapping this episode. It started off with, of course, Team Blue because they won the day last week.
Right.
They got the benefit for the day 2, and which is the 5-minute head start on all the other teams.
Correct. Yes. So they all started out. And I just want to mention that everybody did get to spend a little time with their family members they met the morning of day 2, because they're still at their house, basically eating breakfast, getting ready to get the text from Dan. So they get the text from Dan, and he basically says, Team Blue, you can go. Everybody else got to wait 5 minutes.
And you would think that it would go well for someone that's got 5-minute head start.
Right.
But it didn't go so well for the blue team.
It didn't. And I think that they knew that they had the advantage. Not only did they have the advantage, they got directions from their relative that they were with. And I just think that, again, it's the beginning of the race, and they just didn't get enough details with the directions.
Yeah, and I think when you give directions to people, you give directions to someone like they live there, right?
Correct. How they need them, I think.
Right. You say, oh, just go down to that
Take
place
a right
and go.
Yeah.
Just like their relative said at the church.
Yeah, just turn at the church.
Turn at the church. Well,
it turned out to be a lot of churches.
Yeah, in any town, especially, I think they were in South Carolina,
in the South.
There's going to be a church on every corner.
Yes, and there seemed to have been, because they kept driving, and they said, well, here's a church. Am I supposed to turn here? Well, here's another church. Maybe I'm supposed to turn here. So they ultimately did make a decision on where they were going to turn, and they ended up at a dirt road, so they had to turn around. And finally, they got out their own maps and mapped it out to be able to get to the highway that they needed to go to the next city.
Yeah, and that just ate up all of their benefit, their time.
And add some time, I'm sure.
And 5 minutes is not a lot of time. So,
as we saw last week.
Yeah, so you have to be, on point. But I'm really detailed when it comes to directions.
Yes,
Receiving
you are.
them and giving them out.
Yes.
So, I'm asking, church, okay, what's the name of the church? Is it a big church?
How am I going to know when I went too far and I passed it?
What's the color of the church?
Those are the kind of questions that I ask.
Is it on the corner?
What is it by?
Yeah, what's next to it? I'm just built that way, and I know not everyone is built like that, so I get it. But, I'm just like, give me detail,
right.
Especially when you're in a town that you've never been before.
Right. And so the other teams had this 5 minutes that they had to wait. The green team and the red team got out their maps and they mapped out their route because by now they have their address, the city that they're going to. So they got out their maps and they mapped out, where they were going to go. They packed the car. So they were sitting in the car. So when they got word that they could go, they were ready to go. Now, Team Black, on the other hand, decided that they wanted to do vocal exercises.
They wanted to sing.
Which
They're
is
opera
fine,
singers.
But
I guess that's a little bit of that personality coming out that I talked about. So.
This is true. So they stood by the car and they sang for 5 minutes.
Yeah. Hey, you do.
Maybe that's how they relax.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you need that to get your mind right for the race, I'm good with that. But I almost think that not winning and not having the 5 minute head start, you got the benefit really of it because you got a chance to map stuff out.
Right.
And normally you just go. As soon
you
as
get the text and you got to go.
You're gone.
And you hope you've already packed the car because then you get the text, you got to pack the car, you got to get your map out, you got to say goodbye. It's a lot that goes on a regular day when you get the text.
Yeah, and just being able to map everything out, to me, I would rather have second or third place.
Right.
And I could sit there for 5 minutes and I'm mapping out my whole trip and I guarantee you we ain't going to miss nothing.
Or that you have 5 minutes to spare so you can hang out at the car and wait. And you not waiting on that text because you never know when that text is going to come on a regular day. But now you already have the text and you have 5 minutes. So for me, that would be enough time for me to go to the bathroom and get to the car.
Yep. So I guess right after the 5 minutes was over, or like right before, I can't remember, but Dan shared that they got a chance to use their GPS wilderness ones, right?
Yes,
that
the
was
little
before,
fancy compass.
Was that before they left or while they were already on the road?
While they were on the road, because all of them were driving.
That's correct, because they could use it when they get to their...
After the challenge.
The challenge, that's correct.
Yeah.
So
let's recap and let me tell you about the drive time everybody had. Team Black, they had an hour and 50-minute drive to their next city. Team Red had a 3 hour and 30-minute drive to their next city. The green team had a 3 hour and 39-minute drive to their next city. And Team Blue had it wasn't the longest, it's about the same. 3 hours and 36 minutes to their next city. So nobody had to drive over 4 hours. So that was good.
Yeah, which is really not bad. I mean, we drive 3.5 hours to go visit our family. 4 hours in plus, some cases.
Yeah.
And typically for me, pre-COVID, if a trip was 5 hours or more, I'm getting on a plane.
Right.
So I haven't been anywhere near an airport in over a year now. But anyway, those aren't bad times at all. I can do that any day.
It'll be interesting to see if as the season progresses, if the times of the drive time, because they're going to different places in the U.S., if they get longer. So that'll be interesting to see, because I think once they have longer drives is when they capture more time of them in the car. Yeah.
I mean, I guess it just depends on where, their relatives live, in what order they put them in or whatever. So I'm sure it's a whole production on how to do that. But they got to their selfie.
Yeah,
city selfie.
everybody got, once the blue team got turned around and got it mapped out, they got there and didn't seem to have any further problems. So everybody pretty much, I feel, got to their city okay.
Yeah, I think last year or maybe the season before, they started doing a lot better at taking their pictures. It seemed like to me, they don't have much trouble.
Yeah, because I guess they know they're going to have to use a flip phone, so maybe.
Well, remember the last few seasons, they had, I don't remember who it was, but they got an idea of like, okay, one person get in front of it, the other person hold it.
And you get the shot. And then
and then they go in and get in the picture.
So I think everybody does that now.
So I think everybody does that now. So there's not, a real problem taking pictures anymore, which is cool.
Yeah, and in the first couple seasons, they had problems with the connecting and then getting it. Because it would take longer for it to send in the first few seasons. But that hasn't been a problem either. So yeah, they got to the city. Everybody got to the city. Everybody got their city selfie with no problem. And then they got to the challenge.
Yep. And the challenge was quite a challenge. It was
interesting.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been any good at it. I'm just going to tell you right now. I'm not a puzzle person. This was a puzzle. It was a 2-sided puzzle, and each member of the team was on one side of the puzzle, and they were different pictures.
And they had to stay on that side.
Right. So you had to put together your side of the puzzle, knowing that it could affect the other side of the puzzle because they were two different pictures.
Yeah. So one side said RR, and then the other side had relative race spelled out. And so if I was on the relative race side where it's spelled out, I would have had more trouble, figuring it out. But the big RR, I would have known right away. Well, I knew both of them was relative race in some form right away.
Right.
But I would be able to see that. Now, putting them together would have been a little bit more difficult at first. But I like puzzles, and I think I've been able to figure it out pretty quickly.
Well, one would hope you would be able to, because if you was waiting on me, I'd be like, I don't know what to tell you. Move it this way. We'll just move it and keep moving it.
Well, I think that's the best way to do it. And teams kind of picked up on it as they went along, is do one side. Because if you get one side done, the other side is going to be right. So instead of both teams pushing, boxes out and trying to figure it out together, all they're doing is just changing it up and
moving it around.
Yeah. And you never can see it come together. And so, but yeah, I think teams picked up on that.
Yeah, I think the teams did really well on it. There was only one team that struggled a little bit, and that was the blue team. They just couldn't seem to get the premise of when you moved one side of it, it affected the other side, and you were never going to get it right. So they did struggle a little bit, but they, eventually got it and got going.
Well, one thing I noticed that was pretty smart was that I noticed that one of the rules was you couldn't put a box on the ground. But they were putting boxes on top.
Yes, that was smart.
Of the
whole
big puzzle. And I thought that was really smart, because I didn't even think about that at first.
No, I'd be trying to hold stuff.
I was thinking, okay, one person has to take one out and and play this little dance. But it worked out. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. And once it got done, of course, everybody was elated. Because then you get the address to your relative. Yeah,
which is where the GPS wilderness thing came into play.
That's what I'm gonna keep calling it.
Because I kind of jumped the gun a little bit earlier, but they got to use it. They got two things. They got the address
to their
relative's house, and they got GPS coordinates
that you put into the little fancy compass to know which way to go.
So I think it was Team Green. Team Green was smart, I think, in there. What they did was they used both.
Yes.
So one team mapped it out. One person mapped it out on
while
the
the
map,
other one was,
and the other one did the GPS coordinates. And I thought that was really smart to do. Team Red did that also, but they did it after they tried to, I think they tried to GPS first.
They tried the GPS and then they stopped at a gas station
Oh,
to ask
yeah.
for directions.
That's right.
And they asked a police officer, which I probably would think that the police officer would know where to go also.
No.
But this police officer had no idea where this street was. So again, that was wasted time. And they were
Yeah.
like, okay, we're just going to do this map and GPS and get it figured out, and we're not stopping again.
So police officers are not going to know specific streets unless,
It's a smaller
it's a
town,
small
maybe.
town, or maybe they've been around for years or something like that. A police officer is not going to know just some random street in a random neighborhood.
And I guess I've thought that they would. I don't
No,
know.
they're not going to know that. Now, if you say Main Street, where everybody knows where that is, so they can send you that way. But I watch a lot of police crime shows on TV.
Yes, you do.
And the reality type shows, and all of them have GPS in their car.
Okay.
And that's because they don't know where everything is.
Okay. Well, I thought it was interesting that they stopped, even though they had a map and they had the GPS, because it seemed like the GPS looked like it was going, because when you put your coordinates in, if you're going in the right direction, then the number starts going down as you get closer to your place that you're going to. And it looked like it was going down, so I didn't know why they were stopping. But Team Red stopped and asked for directions, and Team Black stopped and asked for directions. And they didn't get any directions either.
Well, Team Black had a little bit different case.
This is true.
So they put in their coordinates on the GPS, but it kept showing 0. It wasn't going anywhere. It wasn't doing anything. And he thought it was broken.
Yes.
And I was like, just thinking to myself, I don't think he probably hit enter or whatever you had to hit.
He just put the numbers in and was like, I'm ready.
Right. And he didn't hit the button. And so the system turned off. It wasn't running.
Yeah.
And so they had a little bit of a hiccup.
So
right
when
there.
they thought the GPS wasn't working, they stopped at a gas station to get directions, but nobody knew where they were going either. So they too stopped and didn't get directions. And then once they got back in the car and he tried to put it back in again, he said, oh, I didn't hit the submit button the last time. It's moving now.
Yeah.
So then they were on their way.
Luckily for them, once he did it, though, they were really
Right, it
close
was
to
really
their house.
close.
I think it was less than a mile.
Yeah, they were really close.
And so they got lucky that they was pretty close to their relative's house. So I mean, not a ton of problems.
No.
And little things here and there.
Yeah, I think they're getting in their groove of navigating and driving and being able to use the GPS little compass thing.
Yeah, I think Team Blue was the one that had the biggest problem.
Yeah.
And that was at the very beginning.
Right.
But I think everybody else, had a pretty...
For the most part, they navigated very well. They got to their cities. They got their addresses. And of course, I know it's edited, but it looked like everybody went from the challenge to their relative house in a timely manner without too many problems.
Yeah. I think it was a pretty normal, episode or day once the blue team got back on track and was able to drive. So I think what we'll do now is talk about at this point, they've gone through the challenge, they got to their city, and they've done all that, and they got the coordinates and the address. Now they go to meet their relatives.
Yeah, they go meet their relatives.
So let's start off with Team Green. And this is the order that they showed it in on the episode. So if you follow along to that, you'll see. But Team Green, I think this one was Monica's relative, right?
Yes, it was. They got to the house and they met them on the porch. And, they always say, whose relative are you? And she said, Monica, I'm your sister. And it just gave me chills. because again, she didn't grow up with siblings. She was adopted, but she was an only child. So she doesn't know what it's like to have siblings, and she's adopted, trying to look for her family. And on day 2, she meets her sister.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that she was really worried about was that no one knew about her, or no, that's not true. They knew about her, but wasn't looking for her.
Yeah.
And so she was worried about, am I the middle child? Or am I the oldest? And, whatever it is. And so I think she found out today that, okay.
Yeah.
They did know I was there, and they did think about me a lot.
Yeah, because this is just a little background. She was adopted, but her mother had an older child and a younger child that were not adopted. And so all this time she's been thinking, why is it that you could keep the older and the younger child and not me? But on this episode, her sister told her that her mom always thought about her, and that her birthday was always a rough day for her because she was always thinking about the daughter that, she placed for adoption. So that, I think, gave her some closure and some peace to know that they, were thinking about her. Yeah,
I'm glad that kind of happened at the beginning of the season. So it gives her a chance to kind of, okay, that's done. I know where I stand. From that standpoint, let's focus on meeting
more relatives. Right.
Yeah.
And she doesn't have to anticipate, is this going to be it?
Yeah, I think it's great that her best friend is on the show with her, to be able to support her in that. And I don't know, it's just pretty cool.
Right.
I think that if we were on the episode or the show, I think I would tell them, okay, focus on Trisha.
And I think, that people have done that. That's because I remember somebody asked that question a couple of years ago at Roots Tech. If we can just find one person's relatives, and Dan said it's just about the route and how you get around the country, and if meeting one of your relatives helps in the route, then that's who you meet.
Yeah, I don't know. I would just tell them, hey, go Trisha's, and I think I would want to do just one.
I don't know, but you've had some good discovery in your research, so I think that you would be excited to meet some people. Yeah,
you've been researching longer than I have, so. But anyway, so that was Team Green. And then the next...
I didn't write them down in order.
So the next one was Team Black. So this was Casey's relative.
Yes, Casey met her aunt, and she was able to determine that it was... Because last week she met a cousin who said that it's one of these children, and it was... could have been either the girls or the... brothers, but she definitely knows now that she is the parent in that situation is one of the brothers,
and they look just alike.
They really did. Yeah.
So I knew right away who that relative was,
and she found out what her father's name is.
Yes,
her aunt was able to tell her which brother it was, so that was exciting for her.
Then came Team Blue. They were next, and they met their cousin on their mom's side. And I was kind of surprised on this one because when she walked out the door, she was young. Yes. I think she's 27
she's 27
or something.
Because the twins are 28.
Same age as the Team Blue. So, we don't normally see young people like that. Usually they're with an older
person. So you meet an aunt and then her child, which would be your cousin. It's not typically that you meet the younger generation just by themselves.
Yeah. So remind me, did she tell them anything about their family or anything? No, I don't remember that.
She just said that she was their first cousin on their mom's side, and she had a difficult childhood, So she didn't really talk about the family.
Yeah. It sounded like their family was a little broken between
On that
people for
particular
whatever
side, right.
for whatever reason. And it sounded like she was really hoping that finding the twins would help bring them together. And if it does, that's
what the show's
fantastic.
all about. So it's about family. And I said this, last week. It's not just about the people who are wearing the colors traveling across the country. It's about the people that they meet as well. And that can have an impact on not only them, but their entire family as well.
Yeah, I'm sure once the camera stopped rolling, she was able to,
she said that.
break it down to them, what was going on.
Yeah.
Maybe it was something so bad they didn't want to put it on TV and privacy and all that kind of stuff. So that just happens sometimes.
And it's okay. The most important thing is that they met and that they will build a relationship and healing will start.
Yep, for sure. And then now it's down to Team Red, and on Team Red, Liz, she met her father.
Her biological father for the first time.
I was like...
on day 2.
And this is in the last episode. Remember I told you I was like surprised there weren't any big, surprises, and they finally gave it to me.
I know, and I wasn't expecting it after we saw that Monica met her sister. I thought that was going to be the big one on this episode, but Liz met her dad, and they look
alike. As soon as he came out, I go, "Oh, yeah, that's Liz." He was trying to play a little game, but
who do you think? Who do you think? Why don't you take a guess?
I'm just like... Just
say it.
No, we can see.
We know you Liz is something.
Yeah, I'm like, we can just see, whose father you are. Or, of course, we didn't know father.
I didn't know if he was father, brother, uncle. But yeah, when they stood side by side together, you could just see that they look just alike.
Yeah, and Devin said it, like, it's Liz,
And not only does she get to meet her father on day 2, he takes her to meet his father, her grandfather, at the nursing home. And so she got to meet 2 generations.
In one day.
And I'm sure in just a couple of hours.
Yeah, that was crazy. I wasn't expecting that. And apparently the grandfather had been in the nursing home. Everybody knows how COVID was spreading like crazy in nursing homes.
Caught it.
He got COVID and he beat it.
Yeah, he's a survivor.
That's crazy.
They didn't say how old he was, but he's not young.
No, he's not young at all. But you heard so much bad stuff about these old folks in nursing homes and rehab centers, getting COVID and dying. You don't hardly hear about any that survived. And so he was in quarantine for 4 weeks.
4 months.
4 months.
He was in quarantine for 4 months. And that's when her dad got the news from relative race, which is something else I wanted to bring up. He said when he met her that I've been waiting to meet you for 9 months.
That's crazy.
And I never thought about that these people get notified that they have this family, in some instances a daughter or a child or a sister, and then you can't contact them until they see you on the show. So that's something in itself.
Yeah, and that was pretty awesome. I mean, Liz understandably was very emotional.
They both were.
The father was too. I don't think, other than Ray, I hadn't seen anybody have to like stop and take a break because they're so, emotional. Of course, I don't remember everybody.
I don't remember every episode, but I think when they meet their parents, it's usually when it gets really emotional. But she got to meet her dad and her granddad. And that was the first time that on this episode is the first time that they even ever brought up COVID. And I saw them in masks. So that was interesting.
And like I said, I was really surprised they even let him out.
They met in front of the nursing home. They didn't go in or anything. They were outside. But again, I'm still surprised. But I'm so glad. I'm sure it was, extenuating circumstances. But I'm so glad she got to meet him.
Yeah, that was good. So, all right. So we'll get into, what order everybody finished and who won the episode and who got a strike. So let's start off with this. So the first place team, they went from worst to first.
And
Team Green.
That's usually how it works.
Yep. And
I'm so proud of them. I know I'm rooting for Team Red, but when I say they turned it around and they act like they've been traveling and driving and navigating for years, you would never know that they had all the problems that they had last week.
Yep. And they were only 11 minutes over their allotted time.
Which is great.
Which is really good.
That is really good.
Yeah, we don't often see such tight times like that. So
11 minutes.
Yeah. And then second place was
Team Black. They came in 18 minutes over their time, which means there was only a 7-minute difference between first and second place. So again, that 5 minutes, you just never know. It could be just what you need. And it just looks like these teams are going to be close.
Yep. And then the third place team was
Team Red, and they came in 21 minutes over, which was just 3 minutes from second place.
Which is still not bad. 20 minutes is not a big deal.
Really close. And the last place team was Team Blue, who got a strike, and their time was 1 hour and 5 minutes over.
Yeah, that's they went from first to worst. Yeah, so
I knew that they didn't do great. I wasn't expecting an hour though.
Yeah, that was a killer at the beginning. And I'm betting you the puzzle is the one that really took them a long time, because I don't think they were driving that long at the beginning to where it made a huge difference. Not an hour's worth of difference. No. But I think those two combined together was it. So congratulations to Team Green for winning. They get their benefit for the next episode is that they get to stop any team that they want for 5 minutes.
Yes, on day 3.
So they need to use that smartly.
Yeah, I don't know who they would pick this early in the game. I don't know what their strategy is going to be. It's going to be very interesting to see who they pick and the team that they pick, what they do with that 5 minutes that they're on the side of the road.
Well, I would pick Team Blue because they already got one strike. And that would kind of maybe put them behind so they can get their second strike because, again, this is a competition.
It's a competition.
So you kind of have to do that.
I would pick Team Black because they've come in second place 2 days in a row. And so they're thinking, while we keep getting in second place, they're going to be on trying to get that first place. So I would pick Team Black.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying to get people out. So I have my odds get better as teams get out.
True,
so
but that's my own strategy.
That's how I would approach it. But, we were talking about right after the episode, it's like really winning first place for some of these things is almost not worth it. So like winning to me, this is my opinion, but the first place from last week to use the 5 minutes extra time today it's not worth it in my opinion. I would rather be second or third place and spend the 5 minutes that I'm there mapping out where I'm going. So I make sure I do not get lost.
And I have time to use the bathroom. And
it's just 5 minutes. Not every episode is going to be as tight as it was last week.
I don't know, but this one, it wasn't that far off. 21 minutes to 11. That's 10 minutes.
Yeah, but there's no difference like between third place and last place was huge.
True.
So I don't care if I come in third. It doesn't matter to me. As long as I'm not last, I'm good.
Correct.
So
I get it.
All the first place prizes aren't going to be this
about time.
Yeah, there's going to be some good ones that coming on as the season goes on. But anyway, that's just my my thinking.
Well, I thought this episode again was really good. I enjoyed the teams. I'm happy for who all they got to meet, and I look forward to seeing them again next week and seeing just how this advantage for Green. I wonder if they have the option not to use it.
The what?
Like they say, hey, Dan, I don't want anybody to wait 5 minutes.
No, I think they're going to make you use it. I don't think you get an option like
I feel
that.
like if you have an option, Team Green would be the one not to use it.
Yeah, I don't think
I know you would use it.
Oh, yeah, I would use it. So, all right. So congratulations to all of the teams who met their families today. Then congratulations to Team Green for coming in first place. And then Team Blue, let's go.
Hang in there. Keep your head up.
Pick it up. So, all right. We appreciate you guys for joining us for the podcast recapping Relative Race Day 2. Come back next week where we will talk about Day 3.
Yes.
And recap that for you. If you like this podcast, please subscribe. Share with your family and friends who may be interested in family research and genealogy. Please go and read Trisha's blog at journeythroughthegenerations.com. And we also are on Facebook and Twitter. Like us on Facebook, drop by and say, hey.
Let us know who you're rooting for.
Yeah, and let's chat about the episode.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, I think that's it. We'll talk to y'all later.
Thanks. Bye.